Life is so busy. I'm so distracted with different. This is a common refrain. Everybody feels the same way, and so on. So I was going to talk about this later, but since this context came up, I'll tell you a story that Swami. I think it was Swami Maheshanand gave, or Swami Akhandanand, I forget. Very interesting story. The story is that there is a family that had a talking parrot as their main pet. Because the parrots they can talk a few things. Hello, this, that, or the other. So this is well known. It's a special bird that can speak a few words. But anyway, he didn't speak the whole thing. So the story goes that one day, this husband and wife that were the masters of this parrot were going to meet a Swami, their person that they used to meet. So they were telling parrot, goodbye, we're going to meet the Swami. So the parrot told them, no, I have a request for them. I have a question. Can you please ask him this question? So they said, okay, sure. What is the question? So parrot said, how does one gain freedom? This is the question. You've already heard this in my class, I think. So they said, okay, we'll ask him. So in the satsang with the Swami, people were asking different questions, this, that, or the other. And so this couple asked him, Swamiji, how does one gain freedom? So as soon as the Swami heard that, he fainted. And he fell on the ground, and they could not revive him. And they tried very hard, but the Swami was just out. So pretty soon the satsang all broke, everybody went, and so on and so forth. So they said, I don't know what happened. We just asked him this question, and he just fainted. What happened? So they said, we don't know. So they came home. So the parrot asked them, did you ask him that question? He said, you bum. You were the one that asked that question, and we asked him this question, and he immediately just fainted completely. You're the worst thing that could have happened. The parrot said, he did what? He said, he just fainted. So you know what the parrot did? He just fell flap over and just pretended he was dead. So they all said, parrot, parrot, what happened to you? What happened to you? And he said, no, nothing, no response. He's just swooned and he is dead. So they tried to do everything, because it's a very precious parrot, they have paid a lot of money for him and so on. Nothing. So they said, okay, let him go. As soon as he went out, he just flew away. Swami Akhandananda says, this is our situation. You know what our situation is? We find mutual dependency with our family and friends. Mutual. Because look at the parrot. The parrot also was well taken care of. He was giving good food and so on. He didn't have to go hunt for it. And the people were very happy with the parrot because he was talking and everybody would love to see the parrot and so on and so forth. So they were both happy with each other. But one of them was in prison and could not do it. So Swamiji says, you know what you need to do? You need to stop being useful to your family. What you need to do. Because as long as they find you useful and reciprocally you find them to be useful, you're not going to be free. Nothing is going to happen. You're going to continue in a, you don't talk like a parrot that I'm in prison, but you are in prison. Believe it or not, you are in prison. And the worst thing is that if you didn't know you were in prison, then you'll be excused. But if you are attending Swamiji's lectures and everybody says, my God, this is so wonderful. This is the ticket to freedom. Then you come home and you start playing cards, and then you start watching movies, and you see 49ers games, and you say, well, tomorrow. Right now I'm too busy. This is not the time for me to study. And then you complain, I don't know what to do. I don't know when to study. The best thing to do is to find a way where the family doesn't need you. They find it's a nuisance to have this guy. Absolutely wonderful. That is, you should conspire yourself to come into that position. Until then, do not complain to anybody. Thank you, Dinesh, for bringing that subject up. I was going to talk about that later, but I thought this is the right time to do that. Okay, let's go ahead. So I've changed the sequence of these concepts a little bit. In your handbook, you will say the vision of the Shastras, but let me now give you the introduction to the Veda Shastra. Let's go to that topic. You can make some notes on that. So what is the Veda and what is the Shastra? What is it? What do we mean? What is this learning, body of learning that we are following? So let's talk a little bit about that. So this is obviously our time is limited. We can do a lot, but let me give you the gist of it. Vedas are considered to be what is called a paurusheya. A paurusheya. As opposed to paurusheya, it is apaurusheya. What does that mean? Paurusheya means generated by a human being. Purushajanya. Purushajanya is called Paurusheya in Tadhita. Lisa is a teacher of Sanskrit, she would know, and so is Kumud. Paurusheya means, which is a Tadhita of Purushajanya, Paurusheya, of not just a single word. Apaurusheya means it is not produced by a human being. Not produced by a human being? How can that be? No, it's not produced by a human being. We will see the reasons why, and I will come back to that. I'm just giving you bits and pieces of it. Because it is teaching of unlimitedness. You cannot teach unlimitedness unless you yourself are not limited. This is a very important concept, because everything that emanates from a limited person has the basis of limitation. So the whole sequence of teaching itself is an emanation of limitedness. This is why you need external help. And so a human being who is himself limited cannot generate this. So the only thing is that it must be unlimited to begin with, and then it is communicated to people who can lose their limitedness. That's a possibility. But the generation, if you can call it a generation, it is not a generation. So the Vedas were never generated. They are always there. They are part of the creation. They are in fact what you might say the body of Ishvara. They are the very substance of Ishvara, as the very voice of Ishvara. So this is what the Vedas are. And this is well understood, well recognized, well communicated. Even in Pralaya, even in complete darkness for 50 million years, which is the normal day and night for Brahmaji, the Vedas are not erased. Just like you and I have a night where all of our knowledge disappears. All of it disappears. It does not disappear. All it happens is goes into an unmanifested state. So the only sequence, I think there's so many concepts that some of them get mixed up, so I'll describe that. So the nature of Vedas is that it is always there, expressed in the form of people that can catch it. And this is what is called rishis. So the rishis are the ones who can, because of their previous birth and because of their purity of their mind, can actually understand what is already there. Swami Viditatmananda had given a very beautiful example. I've never forgotten that. This was like 15 years ago. He said, you know what? Same question was asked, same satsang, same teaching. He says, you know what? Look at the electromagnetic waves that are present at all over the place. Like for example, in the Bay Area, I don't know how many FM stations are, how many AM stations are there. Probably hundreds. Spanish language. Now there is one in Punjabi, one in Hindi, one in Gujarati. There are so many stations. Are they visible? No, not visible. But if you have the light, if you have the right instrument, you can tune into it. You can find something which is not visible. You can express it. The same thing is true in the Vedas. So the rishis, all the way from the beginning, they did not generate Vedas. They simply captured Vedas, which was already there. So this is number one. Another very important thing about not just the Vedas, but about life in general. And in fact, the nature of Ishvara, if you want to say, this is all the same. What you find in this, again, I think I was going to discuss it later, but that's okay. I can do that now, and then when we go to the other place, then I can say I've already said it. This is once this became clear to me, a lot of things really fell into place. The nature of creation, or the so-called creation, is very interesting. Because we have a number of questions in our mind. Everybody does. How does this come about? What is the nature of this creation? When did it start? When did it start? Is it ever going to end? Is it expanding, as the scientists say? Is it contracting? What is the nature of it? So what the Vedas say, what they say is, that the entire creation, in fact, there is a segment here which I'm borrowing from, which says the understanding of Vedas for the totality. Yeah, the vision of Veda about the cosmos. So I'm just borrowing some things from there. What it says is, this was absolutely a revelation when I understood this to me. Answered so many questions, so many doubts. What it says is that the nature of the creation is like that of a seed growing into a plant which generates more seeds that generates more plants, and this cycle of seed and manifestation as plants is always constant. So you cannot say which came first, the father or the son. Because the father was not a father until he was a son, looking at male side, same thing on the female side. So you cannot say, so this is a huge discussion. Same thing on a human being producing karma. A human being produces punya and papa. And punya and papa create new people in the next life that create new papa, new punya. So this same thing on this, cyclical nature of this. The nature of the Veda is, this never began, it has always been like that. The only thing that happens is that the samashti, the entire cosmos, can go into a seed form. Then it sprouts up again. Then it goes back into the seed form. So there is a word in Sanskrit to describe this. It's called Jagat is Bijatmaka. Bijatmaka. So Jagat is a very interesting Sanskrit word for describing the world's experiences as we see. Jayati Gacchati eva Jagat. All Sanskrit words have etymological meaning. So the word Jagat also means the one that is born and it is gone at the same time. Born, gone. It's called Jagat. And this happens continuously, and you cannot say when did it start, because it never started. Even time is also one of the parts of the Jagat. Because otherwise you will say, when did time start? Say the time started at this time. That means before that there was no time? No, there was no time. Who decided when did the time start? Chit Swarupam. Chit Swarupam. That means Jnanam, the so-called consciousness, which has never disappeared. Will never disappear. You will never disappear. You will never disappear. There's no possibility of you to disappear. The only thing will disappear is your sense of limitation. Because the sense of non-limitation is your very nature. How can it disappear? Anyway, I'm digressing, so let's go back to the introduction to the Veda Shastra. Veda Shastra, the word Shastra, this is why I'm adding to the word Veda. Veda means knowledge, Jnanam. And by the way, one thing that we should understand is that Veda doesn't mean just Vedanta and Karmakanda and so on. It is the knowledge of everything in the creation. Every possible form of endeavor. Whether you're talking about medicine, music, grammar, mathematics, any field is all included in one form or the other in the Vedas. It's a complete, nothing is, the only thing that can happen is discoveries can take place. It is never invented. All knowledge is already there. Then we find out, we found out new cures of cancer. Wonderful, you found that out. That's very beautiful. I was talking to Ram Mandalam at lunchtime, and so he's involved in the application of using cells from a same person to cure cancer in the same body. He's doing some very, very good work in doing that. So, one can say, I came up with that idea. He's not saying that, I'm just saying that somebody else can say. We had a startup program, we just came out with a new company that does this. This is not an invention, it was already there, you discovered it. So the Vedas means a complete knowledge of everything. Now, how the Vedas are expressed to us in a particular field is a different thing. Because then there are 4 Vedas, there used to be thousands of Vedantic texts, now only 108 are left. All that goes on. But it's a perennial, independent of time, always there. That's number one. Secondly, in terms of Vedanta, the word Shastra has 2 meanings. Okay? One is called Shasanam and one is called Shansanam. And I think your mini dictionary has those words, you can see that. Shasanam and Shamsanam. Shasanam is talking about what to do. Vidhi. What to do and what not to do. Both of them are given in Shasanam. Like in Shasanam, it says, Satyam Vada, Dharmanchara, means may you please speak truth in your life. Most important thing next to Vedanta, next to the Sat, is what is called Vyavaharika Sat. If you do not have Vyavaharika Sat, forget about studying Vedanta. You might as well go do something else. If you are cutting corners and you are lying to people, then you are not qualified to even take the next step. So the most important thing in life is to speak truth to everybody. It's interesting. And this is an expression in so many different ways. Okay? So this is a very funny example, but I'll just give it to you. Say you have decided to heat your food in microwave. This is a funny example. Okay? And you tell yourself that I'm going to heat this up, depending on what you're heating and so on, and different times are there, that I am going to heat it up for 40 seconds. Okay? Decided, 40 seconds. Then in the middle of that you said, no, it's not 40 seconds, it should be 30 seconds. I don't think it should do that. You are already violating your own pratigya, your own satyam. Don't do that. It's not a good habit. Find out ahead of time, okay, for this food, this quantity of food, how much will it be? Just do that. Number example. The more common example is telling someone, I will be there at 7 o'clock. And at 6:45, you have not even started getting dressed yet. And it's going to take you half hour to get dressed if you are a female, and about 15 minutes if you are a male, generally speaking. But in any case, you should have started doing it at 6:15 because you want to reach there at 7 o'clock. Then you say, you know what, I just said it'll be 7, but I don't really. Please speak the truth. Please observe the truth as the next level. This is a very important thing. So shasanam means vidhi of what to do and what not to do. In not to do, it said, please don't eat meat. If you want to follow the edict of Shastra, then please, it just tells you whether you do it or not is something else, but it tells you what to do, what is not to do. This is called Shasanam. So this is what is called, in the conduct of dharma, in the conduct of karma, there is a very clear mandate in the Vedas, given in the form of karmakanda, yajnas, and it's a very important thing to do. The reason for that is it refines your mind for better things. It is not an end in itself, but as a means to the end, it is a very important thing to do. So this is one. The second one of the Shastra is called Shamsanam, not Shasanam. Shamsanam means imparting knowledge, not imparting ways of doing things, but even imparting knowledge. This is where Vedanta comes in. So now we will discuss further a little bit later on, starting now, what is the difference? Why jnanam, why karma? What are the limits of karma? What is the beauty of jnanam? And what is the limit of jnanam? What is the beauty of karma? All of those things are clarified in Veda Shastra. So this is the thing we have to see. Okay. As an introduction to this topic, there are two terms called sadhana and sadhya. Sadhana and sadhya. Sadhana means a means of achieving. Sadhya means what needs to be achieved, isn't it? Sadhana, sadhya. If you have something which is not yet achieved, which is called sadhya, sadhana is necessary for it. Like, for instance, you have to go someplace. You have to find out how to go there. Knowledge is one thing. But other than that, you have to figure out, am I going to walk there? Am I going to take a bus? I'm going to fly? Whatever the differences are. It's called sadhana sadhya. So the karma section, the shasanam, how to do, deals with sadhana sadhya. Sadhana sadhya. Many sadhanas, many sadhyas. That's why, in fact, it's interesting, if you look at the volume of Vedas, the words in the Vedas, 99% of them are karma in the form of karma sadhya. How? Because to achieve something that you don't have, there are many ways of achieving it. Like for example, supposing you have to go to San Francisco. You can't just go, there's only not one way. You can go on 280, or you can go on 101, or you can take Uber, or you can drive. You can walk if you want to. You can take a bicycle. I see many friends who bike 100 miles a day. Not many, but I know a few friends. You can bike. Many ways to go there. Jnana is different. Why? Jnana deals with not sadhana sadhya, but siddha. What does that mean, siddha? It is already there. It is not sadhya, but it is already there. Now let me ask you a question. Aren't you already you? You are already you. You are not going somewhere to find yourself. The person who goes is also you. And the person who started is also you. The person who ends is also you. What is the point? If you're looking for you, you're not going to find it elsewhere. You are what you are. So then one can ask, if that is the question, why are we studying this? If I am what I am, what's the point of this knowledge? The point of this knowledge is that the Siddha Vastu that you are, Siddha Vastu means you are already there, is wrongly understood. Is wrongly understood. It's not as though you have to do anything. You have to understand some problems of your own understanding about yourself. Excuse me. That's all. That's it. So this is the basic difference between doing and knowing. Knowing is for Siddha Vastu. Doing is for Sadhya Vastu. This is the distinction between Shasanam and Shansanam. And both parts are very clearly given in the Shastra. But they are two different things altogether. It's exactly the same confusion in the mind of Arjuna and Krishna. And there is a relationship. There is a relationship. And briefly, the relationship is that karma is the eligibility for jnana. It is not an alternative to jnanam, but it is a side part of jnanam. This we will see more clearly. One final point about Veda Shastra, and a very important one that generally people do not appreciate. So let us understand that part of it. Okay. So one thing is, as I had mentioned before, Veda Shastra, particularly Vedanta, gives you pramana. And if I were to ask you, what do you understand your Praman, what do you mean by understandment center? I hope you can remember this. Proof. English translation of Pramana is proof. This is a very important word because our life depends on proofs. We don't go about things that are not correct. They are hypotheses that don't work out. This is the word, this is obvious, I think I've shared that with many of my students, is that one Swami Dayanandji was very particular about never using the word philosophy for Vedanta. I find that Swami Paramarthananda uses the word philosophy, even though he's the Shishya of Swami Dayanand. But that's his prerogative, he uses it for what is commonly understood and so on. I never do, because Swami Dayanand, once he made it very clear to me, I never want to veer away from it. Philosophy means speculation. It means theory. Now let me ask you, are you a philosophy or a fact? Does the word philosophy apply to you? Philosophy is something for something different than you. You cannot be the philosophy. You are a Siddhavastu. And the Siddhavastu is not understood, so that becomes a philosophy. It becomes a philosophy. Because people will, this interesting, Swami Akhandananda also points out a very, very interesting thing to say. He says, if you look at the various schools of thought that we talked about, remember we talked about moksha and Sankhya and Buddhism and Jainism and Hinduism and all that sort of a thing. He says the very interesting thing, he says, really if you look down to the very bottom of them, they all agree in the final goal, which is moksha. There's no debate about Christianity or Judaism or Hinduism. That all we want is total happiness, fulfillment. That's the word that I've been using, fulfillment. We all agree on that. Where we disagree is the sadhana for it. Why? Because other than Vedanta Shastra, this is important to grasp this, please, this is very important. Other than Vedanta Shastra, no one says that moksha is a siddhavastu. They all start with and end with and are involved with moksha as a sadhyavastu. What do you say? And it's not like we are beating our drums. Oh, we are the greatest. Vedanta Shastra is the best in the world. Everybody else is. It's not like that. But what can we do? It would be wonderful, honestly, totally wonderful if we discover some school of thought, some way that people are looking at it. They also think that the moksha is a siddhavastu. We'll say, oh my God, we'll hug them. We cannot find anybody. Cannot find anybody in the world. What can we do? We're lonely actually. But it's a fact. Why is moksha a siddhavastu? Let's go into that. Because you are saying this, you are beating your drums and you are giving all these logical arguments that, everybody else thinks it's a sadhyavastu and you are a siddhavastu. How? Tell us how this is. Now we can link it to, by the way, all my way of arranging this is just gone. Because when you're really talking, you have to just link things as they are. This is the limitation of writing things down and so on and so forth. Because I remember when I was talking to Kumud about a couple of weeks ago, I said, this is my idea. I'm going to have all these concepts first, and then I want you to have linkages to the various shastras, the verses and so on. So she says, okay. No, I said, I'm not sure how I'm going to arrange these concepts. She says, well, you have to tell me. Okay. So I told her, okay, you keep doing I gave her some ideas about which common verses I'm going to have. But I said, I'm still working on this. So about 4 or 5 days ago, I gave her what this was. And then we went to the printers and so on. And I started thinking, I think this is a better way to do it. And I'm still evolving. So don't hold me to it. So the question is, why do you say that moksha is a siddhavastu? How do you say that? Okay, so here's the next thing, which is all tied to in fact, you will find this in the Vision of the Vedas, Shastra number 1. I just made some heading to that. Okay, so this is under that topic. Okay, and I think there was a question from one of the people in the audience or before also. You say that the goal of everybody is total fulfillment, right? This is what we all said. This is the nature of living beings. And we also said that all of our efforts only give us partial fulfillment, not total fulfillment. Right? We all said that? Okay, good. Why? It is because, let us define what total fulfillment means. Let's define that. Okay. Let me pause for a second. I see a number of you struggling to stay awake. What if we did the following? Just a proposal. You tell me. I don't know if there's some tea or coffee available or not. No? Huh? No, what I was thinking, we can take a 15-20 minute break, have coffee, then continue for another half hour or 40 minutes. What do you think? But you'll have to make it?
I'll have to put the hot water. Wake up. Yeah.
This is the issue with these things, classes after the lunchtime. We were toying with the idea of giving you no lunch at all.
I like that.
Do you know about this company, software company in San Francisco, which is a fact? There's a software company in San Francisco that mandated that people cannot eat for the whole day while they're at work. Because the founder of the company found out that you are much more productive when you're hungry. Your mind works scientifically also. This makes sense because what happens is that your level of oxygen, and I don't know, Ram can tell us more, that it has limitations. So when you're eating food, it all goes to your stomach. And so your brain and mind gets starved. So you don't really, but if you're not eating anything, it all goes to your brain and so on. So you're very bright. So tomorrow we are not going to have any lunch, by the way. No, we compromised. Panna actually talked to me. And should we have any dessert? So I said, no, let's not have any dessert. I think this has already woken you up, so now we can continue. I have a couple of other jokes that I can do. So, let us define what fulfillment means. Total fulfillment. Fulfillment means total fulfillment, not partial. Partial fulfillment we are very familiar with every day. Total, what do you mean by total? Total means no limits. So let's really be, as they say in Hindi, pakka. Pakka means let us be very precise. Let's not beat about the bush. Total means, because just think about it, supposing there is a fulfillment that is still conditional, will that be total? No. I would even say this is really interesting. If you define fulfillment while you are alive, that also is not total fulfillment. You know why? Because you defined a limit. You said, while you are alive, I want to be fulfilled, which is a great thing. Cannot call it total. Even being alive is just one condition. The total freedom is whether I am so-called alive or not. I am what I am. It is much more than life. But most of us will be very happy. Forget about total fulfillment. As long as I am fulfilled while I'm here, I'm okay. That's not the definition of total. Total fulfillment means no limits, no conditions. Right? What does that really mean? Limitless fulfillment is called total fulfillment. Limitless fulfillment. What can limitless fulfillment mean? Where limitness is the very nature of fulfillment. This is what it means. This is what it should mean. Limitness is the same as mathematically expressed as infinity. Totally, same thing. And in mathematics also, a very, very large number is not infinity. Because it has to be expressed in numbers. That itself is a limitation. In fact, as you know, the very concept of infinity and the concept of zero was all done, it was all not invented, but expressed in India, in the old mathematic. The Western world had no idea about all these kinds of things. But we know about infinity because it all comes from the Vedas. The very concept of infinity is a Vedic concept. Anyway, whether it's a Vedic concept or not doesn't make any difference. But let us look at the nature of infinity and how it applies to the Siddhavastu. This is what we want to know. Infinity means no limits whatsoever. It means total nature of infinity. All right, we accept that. Let's go ahead. What does it mean? What it means is fulfillment, total fulfillment possible to be away from you at any one time. You can say, I don't know, but it certainly is not. I don't feel infinite. I don't even feel large. I feel very small. What are you talking about? Infinity and me and limitlessness doesn't make any sense. Exactly. This is where we start. But where do we end up is infinity. And you know what infinity means? It means Ishvara. Because in our way of, because we have to at least visualize infinite. We have to visualize Ishvara. Whether we understand or not, but at least the nature of Ishvara we must be very clear about. Do we expect Ishvara also to be limited? And all religions struggle with that. This is why there is the question of devil and limitation and this, that or the other. They all struggle with this question. Because they have to, I'm now talking specifically about Christianity a little bit, but they have to deal with the fact, why is there so much bad things happening in the world? If you think that God is all mercy and all love and has without limitations and so on and so forth, so they postulate, I think, I'm not an expert in, but I'm just thinking, that there is somebody other than God who's limiting him, devil, who's putting spokes in the wheel and so on. Okay, so that's one definition of Ishvara, you deal with it, it's not my problem. I'm just asking, our definition of Ishvara, can it have any limits? And it cannot. At least let's not define it that way. Whether we understand it and reach it is a different matter, but at least on the understanding of the Ishvara it's infinite. That's the case. Can it exclude me? Can't. Because now you're saying it's infinite, but you're going to ask each other, have you ever seen Ishvara? He says, not in Los Altos recently. Maybe in Himalayas he's there somewhere. Is this infinity? That he's only located. And you go to Himalayas, they'll say, America is a good place. I think he must be there. So everybody thinks he's not here, but he must be somewhere else. So what that means is, you are the infinity, you are the Siddhavastu, and you are not clear about that. That is all possible. That is all possible. And this is exactly the fact where it is. So Swami Dayananda used to say that. He says, no creation, so-called creation, is possible without a factor of ignorance. He used to give this example, very beautiful example. He say, like you have a painter. He's got to, he or she has got to make some kind of a, painting. What do you need for the painting? Well, you need colors, you need a brush, all those kinds of things. Ishvara, being infinite and being there all the time, never beginning, never ending, and so on, how is he going to have a sense of creation? Through ignorance. The ignorance means the paint of Ishvara is ignorance. That's all. And ignorance in various ways, just like you have multiple paints, red, yellow, green, etc. There are different ways of ignorance that we will talk about that. That's all. And the beauty of that is that it is not real. In the end, it all just disappears. My wife and I went to this, there was a party a year ago where there was a artist who used to do figures in sand. Have you ever seen that or heard that? It's a very beautiful thing that he did. And in fact, he did so well that he got selected in, what is it called? America's Got Talent? America's Got Talent. So he's got selected, he's going to come next year. And we saw him in person. Phenomenal. Just like with his hands. He does this, there is some kind of a clear, I don't know how he did that. And so he changes the colors and the hands. And so pretty soon, all of a sudden there will be Rama and Lakshmana. Then as the music goes on, what he does is, he just erases it. Then he starts again with a new picture. This is exactly how this whole thing is done. Honestly speaking, there is no remainder. It is all infinite, but the sense of limitation is the superimposition. This is what the whole world is all about. So therefore, now we can close this topic. And what I'd like to do is maybe 5 or 10 minutes of questions, and then we will do a 20-minute meditation to 3:30. So anyway, to finish this topic up, what the Vedas say is that if your quest for fulfillment is partial, karma is the answer. Karma is the only way to do that. If, on the other hand, you want to have total fulfillment, it is a siddha vastu, my dear. It's a siddha vastu, not a sadhya vastu. So therefore, only a clarification of how it is a siddha vastu. How is it that I'm feeling I am limited when I am in fact unlimited? How is that possible? It requires jnana, not karma. Because you are what you are, you're not going anywhere. You need to understand who you are as you are correctly. An incorrect understanding of who you are gives rise to problems, and a correct understanding clears those problems. So with that, let me take a pause and I will resume it tomorrow. I think, this is the third class?
Yes.
We're going slower than I expected. So I'm going to speed up, talk less, give less examples, crack less jokes, and get more serious from tomorrow. This is what's going to happen. So with a small prayer, I'll pause and ask for any questions for 10 minutes, and then we will do a meditation. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadar Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Any questions? Yeah.
Sir, if I rightly understand, a statement that you made was the sense of limitation is superimposition.
Yes.
Is it the ajnana which we have been talking about, the same thing, ajnana?
Yes, it is. So, the this is what we will go into more detail tomorrow. The superimposition is a form of ajnanam. It's a part of the ajnanam. This is what I was saying, that ignorance has many forms. So this is one of them. So this is what is called identification, abhimana. Very big topic that we will go into tomorrow in much more detail. Yeah. You are too sleepy to ask questions. That's very good. Sorry. Yes.
So to get yoga fulfillment we need jnana, that's understood. But mostly at the point, let's say where I am, to be able to purify my mind, karma yoga is also very important, right? To be able to get up to the purification of mind where the jnana can be absorbed easily. So karma yoga is also important to be able to purify our mind.
So, Kalpana, the way I would respond to that is yes and no. Yes, because that is the basic way of, Yes, because it is the basic way of improvement. This has been well recognized. Bhagavad Gita also says it. Lord Krishna says it. But you know what? One can overdo that. It becomes a kind of like a crutch. Okay? Because the idea is not to need a crutch. The idea of using a crutch is so that one day you can discard it. Okay? Now, I'm not saying this, but imagine a person who has gotten so used to crutches that when the doctor says, you know what, I think you can get rid of it. He says, no, let me keep on it for a little while longer. And the doctor can say, okay, I'll see you in 2 weeks. How do you feel? Let's start walk a little bit. So he says, I can walk. He says, I think you're okay. He says, no, I think I want to keep it for a little bit longer time. What is the doctor going to say? After he leaves, he tells his nurse, funny kid, I can't understand him. So this is our situation. And this is true not only of doing karma yoga, But even in our daily life, as we were just talking to Dinesh's questions, which is that you are so comfortable in being limited that you feel, I don't know what will be, how can I be unlimited? I need the support of limitation. So it has to be given up. Kuldeep?
So it's more of a suggestion and a request if possible. Can we go through, like tomorrow, can we go through the definitions first, like 2-3 minutes of each, and then you can go into detail? Because
So definition of,
you have like these different topics, like concepts.
Yeah.
So if you can just go through the topics.
I think I'll speed it up a lot.
Okay.
So I don't know whether, I don't want to just define it because it needs a little bit of explanation, but I'll do that. Yeah. There was another hand here, somebody. Parag?
So, will you expand a bit on the relationship between understanding, knowledge, as in, if we say that knowledge removes ignorance, and the jnana is something ananda. Like how are these three exactly the same? Are they different?
I'm not sure that I completely heard you. Say that slowly and little louder.
Right. So there are three things. My request is if you can expand on those, expand the relationship between those three. One is understanding. When we read something, we understand something, and if I understood you right, the claim is that understanding is what removes ignorance. Relationship between that and knowledge, like is understanding same as what we claim knowledge, and relationship of these two with jnanam and satyam, jnana, ananda.
Yeah, all that will come. It's the same thing, really. Understanding and jnanam. So the only thing I can say is that jnanam, knowledge, has two aspects to it. And in fact, this is also given in the Mundaka Upanishad. It's in one of the references where Shaunaka is a householder. In fact, he's called a Mahashalaha. Mahashala means he's a big guy. He's got a lot of, he's like Ambani or somebody like that. He goes to Guru and says, what is knowledge all about? Tell me. And how can it help me? So his teacher, Angirasa, I think is his name, tells him, Dve vidye veditavye, paracha aparacha. This is Mundaka Upanishad. I forget the exact shloka, elect mantra. So he says there are two kinds of knowledges. One is called, in our language, worldly knowledge, and the other one is para knowledge. Okay? What it means is the worldly knowledge is very important and very useful. Because if you want to really understand about medicine, you have to know what is going on. If you want to understand about engineering, you have to know what engineering is all about. And so this is called engineering knowledge, medical knowledge, physical knowledge, psychology, all those things are there. This is called aparavidya. And even the knowledge of Vedas, he says, is aparavidya, which is very interesting. That's a separate discussion. How can you include the Vedas also? Then there is paravidya. So the difference between them is aparavidya is temporary, it's worldly, it has some utility on a limited basis. Paravidya, which is Satyam Jnanam Anantam eventually, he doesn't say that there, but I can put that, is the ultimate knowledge, which is your own nature and you cannot get rid of it. It is not something that you have for a while, not an addendum. It is you. So he explains that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but something like that's relationship between them. Yeah. Okay, so shall we do some meditation? Namaste astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Triambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikalagnikalaya Kalagnirudraya Neelakanthaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. My sankalpa of looking at the person, not the roles, takes the following form. The person is the seer, the drik, the sakshi. The role necessarily takes the form of the seen, drishya. the person remaining the same can take on many drishyas. My sankalpa to my mind in doing meditation is to distinguish between the two. Up to now, I am only involved with the drishya, the scene, the roles. You can see your own life day to day. Even though you take on different roles from time to time. One time being a mother, another time being a daughter, a neighbor, a worker. All having specific times, specific forms, qualities. When your son and daughter calls you on the phone, you have one personality. At work, you may have a slightly different personality. You don't think upon them as roles, even though we say those. My role as a mother, my role as a worker. But in fact, you look upon yourself at that time as a mom, as a worker. Your whole view of yourself is colored by the role that you play, very much like in a play. But in this sankalpa, that I am the person different from the roles, gives you a new perspective. Shastra says, you don't change. You assume a role, see that you don't change. You may assume a temporary role, but see that you remain the same, ready to take on another form, another role. See that for yourself. Follow the suggestion of Shastra and make that sankalpa to your mind. Tell your mind, this is what I want to do. I want to distinguish the person from the role. Help me. Our teachers, acharyas, give a very good suggestion. They say the implication of this sankalpa are enormous, extremely freeing. They say, view what is happening in your life, the various experiences that you have as a river flowing by. Instead of getting flown by being in the river, sit on the edge of it. That is a fact. You see the river flow by, sometimes bringing beautiful things, flowers, decorations, lighted lamps, and sometimes flowing by in utter garbage, even as in the Ganga, dead bodies. Let it flow by. Don't flow with it. Why do you think you are part of the flow? You are not. Recognize that you are the same person. Many good things have happened to you in your experiences. They're gone. Many good things will happen to you in the future. Many bad things have happened to you in the past. Many bad things are going to happen in the future. Let them flow by. See that you are unaffected. Vedanta says, if you knew the many lives that you have led, how many families you've had, how many battles you have fought, how many situations you've been faced with, how many times you have been born, how many times you have passed away, you'll be amazed. Ishvara is kind to you to forget about everything. You will go crazy if in addition to your current life, you had memories of your past lives. But the fact is, the series of lives that you have led and will continue to lead, unless you can understand this, is that you as a person is unaffected by the roles that you lead. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So tomorrow, there is a group here in this room from 9:30 to 10:30. So that's why we are not able to use it until 11 o'clock. Have we gotten any more information whether we'll be allowed to come in and do the setup before 10, 11 o'clock?
We'll get the room at 10:30.
We can do that?
At 10:30 we should be once they leave.
But they said that they... Well, let me have a suggestion. You kindly come in here close to 10:45 because we allow them 15 minutes to clear. Okay? And you may need to participate in putting the chairs down. Then we will start the class as soon as we are done. It may be a little bit later than 11 o'clock, but it will be hopefully close to it. Okay? So we will see you tomorrow. Thank you.